Put your hands out. Don't move. In Michigan, a routine traffic stop instantly became a tense confrontation. Officers, guns drawn, questioned a confused female driver. "Why are you guys pulling a gun on me?" she demanded. Then, a chilling radio update: "Taylor is dead." This encounter was the genesis of a statewide manhunt, poised to unravel disturbing truths and yield shocking bodycam footage. The discovery of bloody gloves on the passenger seat confirmed their gravest fears, making Jeffrey's immediate capture paramount. The harrowing events began on Saturday, May 20th, in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 28-year-old Taylor Dragovich had just returned home with her family. While her family entered their mother's apartment, Taylor lingered in the parking lot for just a few moments. These precious seconds proved devastating. Her mother, Cindy, made a frantic 911 call. "My daughter has been attacked. Please, hurry. I don't know what to do." Cindy, breathless and overcome with panic, initially reported what she believed to be a drive-by shooting. Within minutes, over a dozen officers converged on the chaotic scene, acutely aware that Taylor's life hung by a thread and the attacker could still be dangerously close. First responders immediately began desperate efforts to save Taylor. Paramedics quickly discovered her injuries were not gunshot wounds, but multiple stab wounds, a horrific realization that gravely escalated the situation. Taylor was rushed to Bronson Hospital, fighting valiantly for her life, as officers launched an urgent hunt for her attacker. Distraught witnesses described a gray, newer car speeding away from the parking lot, but saw no driver. An officer asked about Taylor's relationships, and Cindy revealed critical information. Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey, had a personal protection order against him and often disregarded it. He drove a black Chevy. Despite the conflicting car description, officers quickly identified Jeffrey as their primary suspect. More disturbing details emerged as Cindy revealed Jeffrey's 8-year history with their family, including living at their apartment, granting him intimate knowledge of Taylor's routines. Cindy recounted his escalating obsession, confirming this was no impulsive act. Just 10 days prior, Taylor's home security cameras captured him lurking outside her home. He was arrested for violating a PPO, released within hours, and then returned the same day, reportedly attempting to enter Taylor's home. Detectives now understood they were pursuing a highly dangerous stalker. Just over an hour into the investigation, a critical breakthrough arrived. A vehicle tracking system, Flock, located a gray SUV registered to an address in Lawton, 28 miles away. Deputies raced to the property, believing they had found their suspect. However, Jeffrey's mother, Melissa, answered the door. She claimed Jeffrey wasn't home, stating he lived in a Kalamazoo apartment but couldn't provide an exact address. Deputies departed, their suspicion growing that Melissa was deliberately concealing information. Police swiftly obtained an immediate search warrant for Jeffrey's Kalamazoo apartment. Officers moved in cautiously, guns drawn, prepared for confrontation. They cleared the apartment, noting an unpleasant odor, but Jeffrey was nowhere to be found, sending investigators back to square one. Meanwhile, Taylor's condition had taken a dire turn, intensifying the urgency of Jeffrey's capture. Suddenly, patrol officers spotted a gray SUV, matching the earlier description, traveling between Jeffrey's apartment and Melissa's home. Officers immediately coordinated a stop, certain they were closing in on the suspect. What they didn't yet grasp was that the person behind the wheel was about to pull them into an even more disturbing facet of this investigation. Suspicion mounted against Melissa, Jeffrey's mother, as police believed she was actively withholding information. Investigators quickly secured a search warrant for Jeffrey's Kalamazoo apartment. Officers entered cautiously, weapons drawn, but Jeffrey was not there. The apartment, though emitting an unpleasant odor, offered no clues to his whereabouts, leaving police back at square one. Concurrently, Taylor's condition had severely deteriorated, adding immense pressure to locate Jeffrey immediately. Just as frustration grew, patrol officers spotted a gray SUV, matching the earlier description, driving between Jeffrey's apartment and Melissa's home. Believing their suspect was finally within reach, officers swiftly coordinated a felony stop. To their shock, the driver was Melissa, not Jeffrey. Visibly agitated, Melissa demanded to know why officers had drawn their guns on her. Detectives soon arrived, confronting her about Jeffrey's location. Melissa vehemently denied any knowledge, insisting she had been at work, then home to sleep, and claimed the vehicle had been in Kalamazoo. She stated, "If Jeff was in my car, well, Jeff was in my car." Her denials, however, sounded increasingly unconvincing, as she seemed to second-guess her own statements. As Melissa continued to evade questions, a grim update arrived. Taylor had tragically succumbed to her injuries. The detectives delivered the devastating news, but Melissa's reaction was disturbingly detached. Instead of processing Taylor's death, she repeatedly expressed concern about her impounded car and the need to get her work belongings, fearing she would lose her job. Officers pressed, making it clear that missing work was not their priority when a young woman had lost her life, and warned Melissa about the serious implications of being an accessory to murder. While one detective kept Melissa engaged, other officers meticulously searched her SUV. Their search yielded a horrifying discovery. Bloody gloves lay on the passenger floorboard. Further inspection revealed bloodstains on the steering wheel, the armrest, and within the center console. When confronted with this damning evidence, Melissa tried to dismiss the blood as lipstick, a desperate attempt to cover up what was unmistakably human blood. The SUV was immediately seized as crucial evidence. Melissa was offered a ride to a nearby hotel, as detectives prepared to obtain search warrants for her home and Jeffrey's phone. Deputies remained stationed outside both Jeffrey's now empty apartment and Melissa's home, waiting for Jeffrey to surface. However, Jeffrey was much closer than they anticipated. Nearly 2 hours later, the warrant for Jeffrey's phone was approved. In a shocking turn, the phone signal pinged directly to Melissa's home, suggesting his family had indeed been concealing him all along. Without hesitation, deputies converged on the residence, guns drawn, surrounding the property. As they prepared to move in, two individuals emerged, Jeffrey's sister and her boyfriend. Deputies quickly separated them, believing they held the key to Jeffrey's hideout. Both denied Jeffrey was inside. A detective then examined the boyfriend's phone, uncovering a series of incriminating text messages from Jeffrey. "Cops are here at 6:53, one read, followed by "Call mom and tell them to leave." The boyfriend reluctantly admitted to sending a message saying 20 minutes out to Jeffrey. The detective, now certain of their complicity, revealed Taylor's death and accused them of harboring a murder suspect. Despite the gravity of the situation, Jeffrey's sister and her boyfriend continued to deny his presence in the house, maintaining a precarious facade of ignorance. Despite their continued denials, deputies remained convinced Jeffrey was inside. A tactical drone was deployed, providing officers with a clear view of the property, scanning for movement. The situation escalated when Jeffrey's sister informed police there were firearms inside. With access to these, Jeffrey now posed a greater threat, turning every room into a potential line of fire. Yet, officers prepared to breach, unaware Jeffrey was not only armed but concealed in an unexpected location. Kalamazoo police announced their presence and entered with a search warrant. Methodically, they cleared room after room. Officers noticed disturbed insulation and a ladder leading directly to the attic, a strong indication Jeffrey might be hiding above them. Recognizing the significant risk of an ambush, deputies quickly devised a psychological plan to draw him out. An officer called out, fabricating a story that Jeffrey's father, who built the house, supposedly denied placing a ladder in the attic. The tactic aimed to provoke a reaction. Simultaneously, a drone with a thermal camera scanned the attic, quickly detecting a distinct heat signature from a far corner. Jeffrey was finally located, armed with a kitchen knife. For hours, officers pleaded for his surrender, attempting to de-escalate the volatile situation. Jeffrey remained defiant, at one point holding the knife to his own neck. The tense 4-hour standoff concluded when officers, through persuasion and tactical positioning, convinced him to descend. Covered in dirt, Jeffrey was immediately taken into custody. At headquarters, 2 large knives, one visibly stained with blood, were recovered from the attic. While forensic analysts worked to determine if the blood belonged to Taylor, detectives sat down with Jeffrey. He offered vague responses until confronted with cell phone records detailing his movements around Taylor's murder. Jeffrey admitted to seeing police arrive and fleeing to the attic. However, as detectives pressed for more details, Jeffrey abruptly invoked his right to a lawyer, ending the interrogation. Despite Jeffrey's silence, investigators meticulously pieced together events. Around 5 p.m., Jeffrey left his parents' home, driving his mother's SUV to Emerald Park. He secretly tracked Taylor's movements using a concealed GPS device. At 5:47 p.m., he ambushed her with a knife, fleeing 2 minutes later. By 6:15 p.m., he was back at his parents' house, hidden in the attic. Forensic evidence solidified the case. DNA confirmed Taylor's blood on the recovered knife and Jeffrey's clothing. His fingerprints were found on the GPS tracker. Jeffrey Kucharski was charged with Taylor Dragovich's murder. In 2024, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison, with parole possible after 30 years. Investigators found insufficient evidence to prove his mother knowingly concealed his whereabouts or intentionally misled deputies, so no charges were filed against her. The meticulous investigation, from the tense standoff to the compelling forensic evidence, painted a clear picture of a premeditated act. This tragic case highlights the devastating consequences of obsession and violence, leaving us to wonder how many dangerous obsessions simmer beneath the surface, hidden until they tragically erupt.